All right. Good evening, everyone. I will now call the October 6th meeting of the Crime and Gun Violence Prevention Task Force to order. I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. I hope everyone is doing well. With that, I will take a moment to do roll. Ms. Matthews. All right, we'll go around the room. I'll start with stating my name, Jalen Drury.
Darrell Redmond.
Jim Cullen.
Sarah Ray.
Leticia Sessoms.
All right, thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from our August meeting. You all should have received the minutes from the August meeting by Ms. Matthews. Are there any corrections or additions to the meeting minutes? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved as written.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move to the adoption of tonight's agenda. Are there any additions or changes to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion approved the agenda as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. With that, the first thing on tonight's agenda is committee updates. Are there any committee updates tonight?
Not here. I'd like to accelerate into the presentation if I.
All right, there are no committee updates. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is tonight's first presenter, Mr. Lee Deere from the Mobile Photo Lab, presenting on the Portsmouth United app.
Hello. Thank you for having me. And I appreciate the committee for allowing me and Mobile Photo Lab to actually create this app. So I'm extremely excited about it, and I am happy to tell you right now coming along, there's some marketing material, some graphics and stuff like that that's available. And we have, but the Portsmouth United app is here. Right now, we have the mobile version. We're simply waiting on Google and Apple to approve it in the Play Store. My team, we all kind of used some liberties as far as with some of the wording that's on it right now and some of the stuff, just because we wanted to make sure that, it's something that's catchy. We wanted to make sure that even the name, it doesn't directly say Portsmouth United app, but one of the reasons is because the name wasn't available. So, but we also have, and finding an exact name that would fit in all the Play stores, and also that we could buy have the .com and all that stuff that wouldn't confuse people. That was one of our main things when we were looking at it. And then the actual wording on the website, all of that stuff is editable. We can change all of that good stuff and update it if the committee wants to update some of the wording and all that stuff. But right now, you can scan the QR code right there on that on those little flyers that you have there, and it'll take you to the mobile version of it, which is available, and you can go to that right now and start tapping into some of the resources that the city has to offer, all the great things that's happening in Portsmouth United. One of the very first things you'll notice on there is we have videos. And the videos of all the different events and that we've gone out and captured, we're highlighting and updating all that information right there, and we can update that and keep everybody informed. I've also spoken to the instructor over at IC Norcom. They have a group of teens, a group of young adults there that produce video content. They're going to come out. We're going to get them and actually put that video footage inside of the in the app to kind of to engage the community and all that stuff, to engage the younger people, to get them watching and looking up. We're gonna the two segments that I look forward to producing on that are we're gonna update events, and we're also gonna talk about the sports game, all the sports and all that stuff that happened in the high schools. So that's a part of it. Another portion of it that, because you all have worked with me, and I appreciate that, we created a marketing plan. That's something that we're going to, we're going to go out in the community doing videos and talking, and we'll be able to work with Jim here and the community engagement committee to actually engage and talk to people. And we're going to ask them, hey, what do you think about the community? And then we're going to ask, and we'll be recording that, doing videos. So we'll be able to put that directly into the app as well on the video channel. And we have announcements. We have room. We can send out push notifications on the app. We can send out all sorts of updates. There's an event calendar on there. We even put the weather on there. So you can get Portsmouth weather. So there's tons of information, tons of different things. All the community partners are. We tried to make sure everybody was listed there. So please double check that and make sure we weren't sleepy and missed anybody. So look at the app, go through it, tell us what you think, tell us what, give us any kind of feedback on anything that you see that we can update there.
Thank you, Mr. Deere. My first question for you is, what's the timeline of the app appearing on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store as well for people to be able to download it, the public to be able to download it?
As long as we don't get any major, as long as there's no major thing that we have to update or anything like that, we're looking within the next 3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mr. Cullen?
I'm assuming as part of the development, we've already been working with, to interface with what the city's already doing. We're interfacing with Peter Glagola and marketing.
We did. I haven't interacted with Mr. Gergola, but in the app, speaking of some of the interfaces, there's a direct link to the real-time crimes crime link. It's already connected with that. We also put C-Click-Fits in there. So we incorporated a lot of the other city apps that are available. We wanted to make sure that everybody knows about them. So we incorporated a lot of that directly in there. But when you mentioned his name, we did not work with him right now.
I'd recommend having a conversation with him. He's working on the city's marketing, and he will find a place for the city's website. He'll find a place to link directly to, I'm sure, I don't want to speak for him, but he'll be able to link to this app. He'll be able to probably link multiple parts of the city's website directly to that if it's about reporting or getting information. But it's going to be a good way to share information in two directions and also make sure that we're not duplicating or confusing, I guess, the main thing. And I'm guessing the Portsmouth United name is already taken by the football team, the soccer team in England, which is named Portsmouth United. So that's all I have.
Yeah, quick follow-up to what Mr. Cullen said. So can you talk about a little bit of the aspects of the marketing plan that you all put together? We talked over the summer a little bit about how important it is to target the young folks in Portsmouth. You mentioned including the high school football games in there, and that's a key way to get young folks onto the platform. But what are some of the other ways you're going to make sure that it's accessible, but also people want to get on the platform in the first place?
Yes. So with basically being able to, a part of our marketing strategy is to work directly with a lot of the violence innovators, and to work directly with them when they're doing events. There's a lot of fall events coming up where we'll be able to put out flyers and information and we wanted in that marketing thing, I wanted to make sure it looks like the people that we want to use the app. We want people to be able to and provide the resources and information and stuff like that. So a part of that, working with the high schools, working with the and directly hands-on working with young people in the community to actually put this out and having them showing up in there. That's one of the main reasons why the video is kind of featured prime. So when people open it up, right now we see one of the community members here on the first page of the app, and that is. But we're going to have the young people directly on there, so they can see themselves, and also going out into the community with some of the events and things like that, doing interviews, one-on-one interviews where people can talk. People can actually be seen. They can actually tell us what they like. They can give us, the whole idea is we don't want to, it's not a platform to air grievances. but it is a space where people can talk and we can show all the good stuff that's happening here in Portsmouth, and the good stuff that the police department is doing, like the accreditation, and we can talk about all the positive things that are happening here, and we have access to all of that.
Thank you, Mr. Deere.
Thank you.
Mr. Cullen.
I guess a follow-up on that is, and I'm no expert on this, but maybe Commissioner Sessoms may know, I'm sure the school district has its own apps that it's using for students. I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't know if there is such a thing, but
We have the city website. I'm not familiar with the app.
so I guess what I would be asking is if they've got something that students are using, if there's a way to ensure that that's linked to this as well in both directions, a way to cross-pollinate so that you've got, a student would find usefulness in linking to whatever the school site is or school app, and then vice versa, back and forth. And I just don't know if those conversations have taken place, but that just seems like a good idea to make sure that they can jump between the two, and whether it's linking to find their school schedule or upcoming games or upcoming school activities, that kind of stuff. If there's a way to connect the two things, it just seems to increase the chances of somebody using it.
Okay. Yes, I'll definitely look into it. Yes, I'll definitely look into it and see if we can find any school apps or anything like that.
I'm not familiar with the school app, but I do know they have the parent portal, which would be a great place for parents to also know about this app. But I also think these are really great, right? So if we can transform these into like yard signs, stickers up and down High Street. I have been asking for stickers for year 2 now, down High Street for the different events we have. I know they do it in Norfolk. If you go on Granby Street, when they're having different events, they have stickers along the sidewalk. So I think this would be something that we could consider putting the sticker down for whatever allotted amount of time, but also having these as yard signs in the different communities.
You're talking about on the pavement, right? Like on the bricks?
On the actual sidewalk is where the stickers would go.
You'll see that a lot in Norfolk. They'll have like a
Yes.
foot-by-foot square.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yep. And Q Tolerer was actually helping me, but he's gone now, so I don't know who the person is that took over for him. But I think those will be like some good starting points.
Okay.
And then we can just add whatever other people have. But also, you did mention the violence interrupters. I think that is the absolute best start there, because they are the ones that's actually in the community, meeting with the community members, getting exposed to all of the individuals. So I think that as a part of their duties and responsibilities, it should be to get a number of people signed up. I don't know if an incentive has to be added to that or what, but I think that would be really great. And an incentive in general, just to jumpstart this process. It doesn't have to be monetary, but something to get people wanting to download this app on their phone. But also, I think what's really attractive is that it says concerts, pop-ups, sports events. It's things, words that are eye-catching, especially to the younger crowd. So this is really good advertising. It's diverse. You have multicultural people up here, and it looks like our community.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. And I think what both Mr. Cullen and Ms. Sessoms are saying is what you have in your marketing plan already is great, but I think we should expand a little bit more, add more into that going forward. We don't want to botch the rollout of that platform that you work really hard on. We want to make sure people actually get onto the platform. And like Ms. Sessoms said, if we can incentivize and we can come up with what that looks like, getting people onto the platform, I think that would be a good idea. I see Mr. Carter's hand up in the back, our city manager.
You had about 4 questions, and this is not about so much the rollout, but about the actual app itself.
Yes, sir.
Did I hear you talk about a place for conversations on the app there will be?
Yes, that's one of the, so there's a few different things that we can discuss, that we can go. We can actually have it where there is a full community, where where it works like a lot of the social media platforms, but that opens up a can of worms.
That's going to be my question. Is there a moderator?
That's the reason why right now that is not available. it's a feature that we can turn on in the back office. But right now, that feature is not available. It's a somewhat one-sided conversation at this point because the videos that are produced and are controlled and those are moderated, those are the conversations that are being had right now. And that's where, and they are moderated by me as of now.
Yeah, so I would advise roll that out with care, and definitely don't roll that out without a moderator. Okay, so there would be, at least in the way I've always done these is, nobody posts directly to public, they post it, and then somebody moderates what gets posted to public.
Yes, sir.
Second thing is, for the list of organizations that you're working with, how do you come up with who's gonna be on there? And how do you make sure that the information that's on there is always updated?
Right now, we went through the list. We went through the list of the Portsmouth United CBOs. So that's what we put in there as of right now. There are some other ones in the just Portsmouth data, just in the Portsmouth resources section of other businesses that are available. But the direct CBOs, those are the ones that we have made sure that are active. That was the most efficient way to make sure everybody was active, and to make sure that everything was up to date. Now, as far as the businesses, we did reach out to a couple of those, and one of the things that I've personally done, because I'm also looking for more content for the videos, I've gone to a couple of those, some of those places, and not all of them. It's a whole lot of people that claim to do that, but we've gone to some of them, and we've checked that we did do like a basic search on their website to make sure that most of them are available.
Well, if that is linked to the city, what we can't have is some being excluded, some being included. So we have to have an objective way of getting everybody opportunity or keeping everybody out. Either one work, but we can't pick and choose, who gets on, who gets off. There needs to be some objective way. You meet this criteria, you get in. You don't get in. You know what I mean?
So right now, that criteria would basically be listed on Google. If they're listed as we need to fine tune that. Okay. So again,
How you gonna pick who? You just go out and pick who you gonna put them there off Google?
from Portsmouth.
Everybody that's on Google.
Everybody in Portsmouth, every local business in Portsmouth. That's where the list was.
Okay.
But we can fine tune that if need be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We can talk about that offline.
no worries.
And the last piece is, one of the things that's detrimental to any app or site is making sure that content is current and relevant. So that we have to build in a process so that when I go back, I'm not looking at last month's stuff. You know what I mean? Those are mine.
Yes, sir.
But
I wanted to, so I'll be working hand in hand with Mr. Lee to keep that, information on the app relevant and updated. As far as the list of community partners, once we get those new MOUs with the new grantees, that will be updated as well, once we have the signatures on those new MOUs. So we're working hand in hand to make sure that stuff is together. As far as the moderation piece, what I have an idea about how we can work with that, and I'll share with both of you after the meeting.
should,
One question.
just a thought about, let me see, how to say this. Okay, what Mr. Carter just said in reference to, like, how would we vet an agency or organization? I think that we should have our own vetting process, and I think that we should allow organizations outside of those who are receiving grants to be added to the portal as well, because there are a lot of great organizations that don't receive money from Portsmouth United that have events and different things that could benefit the community at large. But if we just solely stick to the Portsmouth United list, which I would think that is a vetted list, so we don't have, those people won't have to be interviewed. But I think we should have our own internal process that that we will go through and interview and vet them to ensure that their information can be included as well, even though they are not a part of the Portsmouth United.
In the app, we do have, in the member sign up section of the app, we can add questions. We can add all that. We can have it where they have to go through a whole questionnaire and how to contact. So I think, and just kind of thinking on the fly, I don't want to give you any misguided information. So I'll get with you on that after I have everything for sure. But I know that we can add a questionnaire so that when people are signing up, hey, before you're approved or whatever, and this is what it is. But that's also the reason why they don't, when people sign up, we definitely don't have it where they can automatically start coming or do anything like that. Or as of right now, other than my team of developers, myself and Chantel, we're the only ones that are able to post anything on it right now. And I got to teach, we got to go through that. Yes.
To your point, I think there's gonna be a section that is Portsmouth United community-based organization, and there's still community resources. So there's opportunities for other orgs to be on there, but I do wanna make sure we highlight the Portsmouth United organizations that are connected via MOU with the city right now. So we can talk about that more too, because I think there's a way to be inclusive, but still have a little bit of like highlight on organizations that are working with us directly.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Always want to highlight those that are already internal, but I also don't think we should be excluding other community partners that are not a part of this grant. Because again, they have a wealth of resources, events that happen, and different resources that are offered throughout the community that we all could benefit from. And I personally see a lot of things after it's done on Facebook. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this church had this a food pantry Wednesday from 5 to 6. So things like that, it benefits the community at large where they're not actually a part of Portsmouth United.
Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. Mr. Redmond.
My question is, I have two questions. The first one is, when we are putting the organizations up there, will it also, maybe a question for both of you all, will it actually say what resource that's provided? Because just going up there, because we run into it a lot, we're working out there. People will say they're providing a resource, and our community needs to, that's why I thank you for what you said, Mr. Carter, a vetting process. Because what we don't want is an app that has a resource that isn't provided when we inside the community and it hasn't been provided. So that vetting needs to be done. So will it be that? Because sometimes the people want to look and see, where do I get XYZ from? Where can I get this help from? And it makes it easier. It makes it more accessible. It stops them from calling 50 people. But if the app has it and says it and it's vetted, then is that going to be available on the app as well?
Yes, it's right now. If you go on it, it's broken down into local, state, and all that, and it's broken down into local, state, education and child, food, transportation, senior and disability services. Those were the information. Like you said, we can clear it up and make sure we have everything, and have not just use the Google narrowing it down with Google, but the local resources, we did kind of look more to the CBOs to make sure that when somebody is searching for a food pantry or something like that, it's one of the ones that we directly have worked with, and we know it really is there. So when they look for something, we don't want them to be able to look for it and it not be there, because then they won't trust the app, they won't trust anybody. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think, like you said, it kind of gets back down to, yes, we need some type of vetting process is definitely, it's important.
Okay. And my second question is, inside of the app, is it the way to actually, as she was saying, engage in that, but something to engage the young people, like directly? Like I done seen apps with like a different link that just has something that's engaging strictly young people, because something like a short video or something like that will get their attention that can expand them to something like that. Because I know watching that, there's something that a kid's seeing that's directly like, because if they see the app and they seeing all of that stuff, they're not staying. So what is it in the app that gets their attention to get them to go to whatever that's available for them. Is something like that available in the app as well?
Yes. So now there's a whole section of videos that's available in there right now as well. But now that I can kind of shift my priorities and my goal a little bit more, a lot of the videos from the high school, those are the direct ones that are going to put up. We've already been capturing some of the football games, and we have I have a couple of young people that have been providing up recaps and all that stuff. Now that I can kind of refocus my attention, I can get all of those edited and have the updated videos about high school football games and updated. That's the very first piece and that was a fun project to do as well. But yes, to answer your question, yes, and we're going to do other things, especially with the hopefully with IC Norcom directly being a major portion, heavily involved, and they get students from, I believe in that morning class, they get students from all of the Portsmouth schools. So it'll be Portsmouth. So each one of the schools will have have somebody represent themselves there.
Hosted a focus group before we started the
Yes.
development process. And what we heard from the youth was sports and jobs is what will get them to the app. So we made sure we were intentional about having both of those on the app to capture that population. And we also, wanted to make sure the resources were on there for the adult population.
Oh, and then and I was part of that Bloomberg study when the kids were talking about they needed an app, and the thing they were saying sports and that, but then they was also asking for like what type of kid events are there, because what happens in the city of Portsmouth is our kids be saying, what can I do, where can I go? And when we was creating it through the Bloomberg study, they were saying, where's something that could tell us where to go? Because in Portsmouth, they were saying, they had to go different places for events when there was events happening. So something for the kids can understand, okay, it's a Friday, and what do I got to do? So kids event as well, so they can get engaged.
Yes, that is the only thing with that is give me the information, and once we have just at this point where everything is now, all the meat and potatoes is there, so we can go ahead and publish it. And like I said, we're waiting on the on the Play Store, on the app stores to approve it. So now let's fine tuning the process of what's the content is the biggest thing. So that's where I definitely defer to the board on that to help me get some of those resources and all that information, and so we can keep it updated and keep it up to date and keep it current. And especially with the events for kids and stuff like that, I know I can go to your Facebook page and find a lot of them too, and I know but having some of those, having a regular source other than just that is definitely going to be helpful, and we can keep that updated.
Ms. Essems?
I think another great resource, and believe I see it on the elevator when I'm coming upstairs. If not on the elevator, downstairs. Every month is a flyer with all of the happenings in Portsmouth, and I think it's at the farmers market as well.
Yeah, that's tourism puts that together.
Okay, yes, tourism.
James McCann.
So James is the person. Okay, yes. James will be a great resource to us for this process.
Okay. Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Shane.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding, and I think I'm going to ask Commissioner Redmond to clarify if I didn't get this right. Are you thinking that there would be like a youth or student side to the app where they could go and look? So that's kind of what I was envisioning too. Like as the parent portal sign in for the Portsmouth Public Schools, there's the adult side and the kid side. And what I can't see what my daughter's student portal looks like, and she can't see mine. So I don't really know what the difference is, but I do see the value in having a drop down that takes you to the other side of the house, if possible, for the youth, where we could be targeting marketing, events, et cetera, specifically for them, because the app that I'm going to use at my age might need to look a little different than what my 17-year-old daughter uses. So was that sort of in line with what you were suggesting?
Yes, ma'am, exactly.
Now,
Because, just to go back, because when the Bloomberg study started, when they was asking about it, they was like, what can get kids more engaged? And initially, when we was part of that Bloomberg study a few years ago, we was in the room, we was meeting with the people, and the kids were looking for an app specifically for them to get engaged. That's why I was asking for the other side of it. I know that we done evolved to have an app for the adults as well, but the Bloomberg study was to engage young people to find out what it was that they can help decrease crime and what can do it, and they wanted their own. And sometimes our young people need something, like you say, that's the other side, that's their own. Because coming in, they ain't gonna do all that. But if they can get directly in and something that engages them, they locked in immediately. 'Cause you know it's that 5 to 7 second span of what it is before I engage. If they're engaging this adult right here, so what gets them directly engaged to a direct conversation of engaging them to incite them, which is on their side as well as we say the parents have a side. But yes, that's what I was speaking about.
I definitely agree. I think one of the challenges with that for now is that study, like the city manager was saying here, to keep it fresh, we need to produce that content on a regular basis. That's why where we are now, we kind of produce this more on this side because on that list, on that thing that Ms. Sessoms was talking about, that's one of the resources we use to actually start filling in some of the events. But I didn't put in the events that's happening at the pubs. I didn't put in, so I had to pick and choose the events to put from that list on there as well. So we need to find the steady resources, and once again we'll tap back into the CBOs. But we'll talk back. We'll find the study resources for those events for the kids and the things that are directly engaging the young people. And a lot of the flyers that even that we found that are on there now, I think it all boils back down to the content.
And
We can
just
do
to
that.
give you so something that I was thinking is something that's already being created by some young people, and if it was the app to get there, it was something that was talked about a while ago, but I have some kids that's putting together something there that's called Positively Portsmouth from a kid's perspective. And if we had that side of it, where it's kids that's continually talking about something positive that's going on, I believe it'll get them more engaged because it'll get them on the screen, be able to say it, and get them to do it. But that was part of someone they was talking about when we were speaking to some of the kids when Bloomberg was going. They were looking for a platform for them to be able to engage while at the same time doing it. But it has to make sense totally, but that's something that
Is that
I believe
video?
would be a great idea.
Is video that they're doing?
It's some of it, but
Okay, send it to
the
me.
goal was to get it where it could get somebody that we have you as the full lab to continuously. It'd be like every 3 or 4 days, we interviewing a new person about what's positive in Portsmouth, how do they feel, to continue to engage that. So that's something that's actually accessible.
Let's do
But,
it.
all right.
I'm all in.
Thank you, Mr. Redmond. Before I provide my feedback and my thoughts, again, another question was, and you mentioned membership earlier, is everyone required to sign up to use the app?
Anyone can use it. Anyone can. You're not required to sign up. One of the things that and thinking about accessibility, that's one of the reasons why. One, it is a web-based app.
Right.
But so if you don't have memory, if you don't have storage, that was one of the things some of the younger people, they got tons of apps and tons of stuff, and they don't have storage on their device. So that's another reason why it's a web-based app, so they can still go and find out all this information, get the resources, and tap in. But if you do sign up, we're working on the benefits and all that stuff of signing up. What are you getting for signing up and all that stuff? Right now, because of all of the moderation and all that stuff we do, it's kind of locked down right now. So if you do, I believe it is an option to sign up right now, but it's kind of locked down. Because we don't want public comments and stuff like that on it. We don't want all that stuff right now, just because we want to make sure there's moderation. And but there are if we unlock that side of it, we can have it so that the children's app, or the young adults app, the side of it, what they see looks a little bit different than what adults see. And then, so that's an easy fix. Once we got the content to put up there and show them something different, show them something to keep them engaged.
Right, and that's why I asked that question, because I think that'll be a way to solve that. Is once folks are able to sign up, it should look different for whoever's signing in based on the age selection that they select on there and what they provide. But I also think that goes to Ms. Sessom's point about wanting to make sure that we're not excluding people as well. If folks are able to get onto the platform and submit, not just Portsmouth United, associated organizations that they work with, but also other organizations in the community that want to be on the platform. But churches, everybody can get on there and submit events, things happening in the community, and you can go in there and just say, yes, okay, this is vetted, we can approve this to show up on there. That might be one way to solve that issue of you are being the only person going out there finding based on flyers and Facebook posts, but also it's a public platform for everybody to post their events and content that they want to post on there as well. Yes, ma'am.
I like what you said.
Yeah.
But I also cringe when I think about people independently being able to post their own stuff. I don't, even a vetted organization, it should still go through back.
Right.
So if a individual once they're vetted and they have a flyer that they would like to share on the platform, it should go through you all, and then you will have to upload it. Also, what is our target audience for this app? Before I make my comment.
So I don't have the demographics for the marketing plan right here in front of me, but we identified two different groups, and exactly what we've been talking about today. We identified two different groups. One of the we want to make sure that it's accessible for our age people, and also for for the younger people, and also the younger excuse me, I think we were shooting for ours. I don't want to misquote the demographic at all, but we were kind of looking middle school to high school students, and they were also looking for more young people as well. Excuse me,
So
seasoned
middle-
adults.
Middle school to 99.
Yes, that is but we've kind of sectioned it off, because we also have real jobs, we have training, there's training information, we put information from the EDA on there as well. So there's different training, different jobs, different skill trade center information up there. There's also we call it side hustles, for the young people who were looking to get work and engage them to make sure they can find some legal ways to make money. So we kind of threw a wide net there, but with the content, I believe, will directly help us narrow that down. We also have there are some other features that we're able to add in there to even engage people who aren't really good readers at all.
Yeah, I wanted Ms. Sessoms. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so the reason why I asked the question about the target audience is because I thought I heard you say the pub, you left those flyers off, which I absolutely think they should be included, because adults our age like to pub at times. Also, when you were mentioning the categories, I did not hear you say mental health and substance abuse. That is optimal. I don't know if it is a category yet, but if it is not, then it should be at the top of our list. I heard you say food, transportation, geriatric, I can't remember the fourth one.
There's local, state, education and
Right.
childcare.
Education and
food
childcare.
Transportation and senior and disability services.
Yes, so
Mental
mental health and substance abuse, that's a huge problem here in Portsmouth.
Will do.
And also medical. Physicals, mammograms, all of that, like,
Those resources, out of fairness, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump
You're
in.
fine.
Those resources are being listed on the resource tab, but just not under medical mental health.
so because this is community and all of our community have different levels of education, different levels of understanding, this app should be very user-friendly. And it should not be under state, I mean, it can be there, but it also should be medical,
Medical.
so that it's easy to find. We
No
can
problem.
go under and look at state and know what we're looking at, but somebody else, that would be a challenge.
I appreciate that. You're right. That is, yeah, that's an oversight from user error, sorry.
What I would recommend, because we're just working through this, so.
Yes.
I mean, the app, to me, the way it's organized, we're just working through it right before it goes live. So what I would recommend is having the resources in categories.
Yes.
Just keep them in categories. And that's gonna be the best way. And then, of course, we have that crisis stabilization we need to do.
Yes.
So on the back end, for people who may not be able to do that surge and really understand what they need, the crisis stabilization lead on the back end, when we get it, we're able to link people after we do that initial intake call.
Got it.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews.
That's one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wasn't going to move on yet, Mr. Carter. I was just going to say that it sounds like we really have to create a system for how we handle this on the back end, because we want to make sure that there's getting content on there. Folks can access the content, but we want to make sure that it's accessible for everyone, that there's vetting happening for the things that are being posted on there. And that was the point I was making earlier, Ms. Sessoms, that it definitely should be some vetting for all of the programs and community events that's being posted on there, but it can't fall on just one person, right? And I think sounds like the point here is that you can go on Facebook and look and find certain things, but you can only see what you can see. It's going to require for everybody to help you and provide that information to you and Ms. Matthews to do that on the back end. And that's the point that I think we might be in agreement with here as well. So I wanted to make that point.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Carter.
Two things. One is, as we're talking about adding different groups or events, right? Before we start adding groups or events, we need to have already determined what's the criteria for getting in and not getting in when you're making your selection. Because this is a city website, we can't exclude people without already having a process before we get started to tell everybody, this is what the process is. If you meet it, you're in. If you don't, you're out. We can't make that up as we go.
Got it.
The second thing is, it seems like we need to do a control group and a random group to look at the content and the way it's laid out. So you can get some feedback on how people actually use it and see what they're doing before we, make it public, so that you're not guessing at what people want to do or what they do. Another thing is with the young people in the content, you may want to just get some, even have some contests where they're creating content. You're vetting the content. You're deciding who's the winners and winners get their content posted. That kind of thing, so that to get a constant stream of content coming into.
Yes, I like that. Awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Any other comments? Mr. Cullen?
I guess this is the last question. This is really, I guess, for the city manager. Does it look like we're getting into a public records type situation with?
Everything that you do is going to be public work, because I need everybody to understand that.
Yep.
From a community standpoint, or municipality standpoint, everything that, even the conversation we're having right now, is open to public record. Just remember that with everything that you do. All right? Assume everybody's looking at you.
That's right. I start wondering about archiving or versions or all those types of things. So,
That's a great point. That made me think of one more question. Where's all the data being stored?
Right now, it's being stored on our servers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Sessoms, you had another question? I think you did.
I want to say you're doing a great job. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
We're only providing feedback so that it can be right whenever it goes live. I think that having that control group and the random group is an excellent idea that should be done sooner than later. I also love the idea of the contest. That was kind of what I was thinking about, the incentive. But since you already have the students coming to IC Norcom, from IC Norcom, and it's all of the students in Portsmouth, well, all of the schools, yeah, all the students. So what you can do is talk to the teacher and have the group, the class divided, in pair, and get them to create a campaign, a launch campaign for this app.
I like
And
it.
then the whatever group, and we come up with some type of award or reward incentive to give them first place. I mean, in addition to it being on the app, but that's a big deal. And those students that are in that class are they are tech savvy, super tech savvy, and they're creators.
Awesome. Oh, I like that.
I like that. One thing I would ask, including inside of that, I know you're working with Norcom, but try to include the other schools as well inside of that process, because at one time they was ready to try to move. They was going to put that same studio type equipment that they have in Norcom and Churchland because the kids was asking for it, and it never got there. So I heard kids that want to appease that, so that may be something that can be a draw, because those kids in Manor and Churchland don't have that same accessibility, and it will only be fair if all of them were included.
Middle schools. Got it. Okay. Too easy.
But as she said, though, great work. I done seen you working on the app doing it, but when I heard it, it makes me think about the side of the younger people. How do we engage them and get them? So just being able to have that parallel where both the parent and kid can engage and may even work into conversations of them seeing things that can work together. But thank you for the work you're doing. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Just to clarify real quick, Mr. Redmond, the class has students from Churchland, Manor, and Norcom that come to Norcom. That's like the hub. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Essems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, next item on our agenda is an update on the status of the consultant to work with the task force. I will have Ms. Matthews come up now.
I always realize how short I am when I come up here. How y'all doing? Everybody doing okay? So I'll give y'all a very brief update on where we are with bringing our consultants in. Met with Mr. Carter and our police chief and Dr. Tillman and Marcus McAllister to talk through a plan and come up with a timeline. So we ended up separating out the services instead of having them under just one proposal with one huge timeline for the city. We decided to separate out the violence interruption component and what would be happening with the task force. It just makes more sense. We're able to kind of see the flow a little bit easier. So what we decided was to hash out the CVI component of that proposal first, and then after this is gone through procurement, then look at the proposal for the task force. So right now, what I have in front of me is the very, very rough draft of what this proposal will look like for the CVI component. And we hope to initiate this in November 2025, should everything go through smoothly with procurement, because we have to follow a process. And then we would commence the proposal for the task force in January 26. So what we have is what I have in front of me is a 2-year plan. So there will be a 2-year plan for CVI and a 2-year plan for the task force. Both are going to look at capacity building, organizational structure, program effectiveness, sustainability, and ongoing support. So they're going to be providing that hardcore TA. For the CVI component, there's going to be embedded technical assistance. So they gave me a proposal with 4 weeks of embedded technical assistance. I requested that they up that to 6 weeks because we're building out a program from scratch, really. We have our VIs and we have our people who are experts who are frontline, but we're going to be expanding that group out So I wanted that additional support for the city to have someone on the ground with me as we're working through those things. As a additional things that we have on here is going to be bi-monthly site visits. So Dr. Tillman or Marcus will come down and do the site visits themselves for those bi-monthly visits. And it will be an off week. So like embedded TA is not going to happen the same week that they're coming in to do that site visit because they're bringing their other experts in their network down to do that embedded TA. There will be weekly calls and coaching for our site supervisor and for myself, as I will be providing general oversight for the VI program, and our site coordinator will be the person who's frontline, who will get, pretty much that's the person who's my point of contact when things happen. They are also going to support our case management system design. So at some point, we are going to bring in a system that's going to help us track data on what's happening with the VI program and also how we are managing the people who are participants in that program. How effective is it when we have a participant come in through our program? Are we able to show that they went from high risk to low risk? And if they did, how long did it take? So they're going to help us build that program and that system out. And they're also going to help us with developing some public education and marketing. So that social marketing component, they'll be helping us with that as well. So it's a very well thought out strategic plan. And they would be helping us with this for 2 years. And what I have in front of me is the first 12 months. And then after that 12-month mark, probably at that 6-month mark, we'll start building out what the next 12 months looks like. Does that make sense? Not sure what that was about. But there are some deliverables as well. There's going to be training reports, case management system, which is a deliverable in this proposal. There's going to be mission, vision, value statements, a standard operating procedures manual. So that is going to be a huge takeaway for our VI program, is to have something tangible that they can go to. And I'm requesting that is a digital, something they can get to on the app, because there is going to be an app where our VIs is going to be like there for them. I'll be able to see if there is an incident or if there's someone who needs support. I'll be able to see down to the location and when they got there. Not that we don't trust our VIs who are our frontline workers, we do, but it gives me a way to be able to report back quickly. Because there's times when things happen and I need to report back quickly, right? I mean, we ain't go into all that, but just know I'll be able to look at my phone and say, okay, this person is in the location where this person is, and I'm able to report back to my leadership and tell them this, and that, based on the fact that there's no safety concern, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. And then they are also going to provide us with quarterly progress reports. So as they are working with us, we're seeing where the work is going, where the dollars are going. Any questions?
My first question is, in the process of VIs, how are they going to do it? I know we went through a process at first, so are we going through a whole nother process in regards to that? And with the onboarding, do we know how many we'll be onboarding specifically, and the ramifications or what that looks like? Because I'm thankful that y'all had the meeting to get an understanding what it looks like and what it is, and engaging those high risks to actually understand how far, how much distance. So is there some direct conversation about that and what that looks like?
So we are scaling back the sites. So originally, y'all may have remembered, I stood up here and said, we're going to have 8 sites. Well, as it stands right now, we don't have all the funding to properly do 8 sites. We can do 4 sites, and we can do 4 sites really well. We can build those 4 sites out, and then once there's additional funding, however it comes, we can start building out those additional sites. So, but as far as how many people we're going to recruit, that hasn't changed, because the budget to have 6 additional is still there, right? But we're able to maximize that human resource and be able to really pour into the sites that we have. Because really, it's not sufficient to have one lead person on these sites. If you pull up a map of just, say, London Oaks, that's too much for one person. It needs to be multiple people. I would say you would need 4 people to be effective in London Oaks. Now, if you have the right 2 people, you might be able to make something shake. But that's why we're doing, so to lead into your other question, as far as the vetting process, we had to work out some kinks, work through that. So we're going to have on-the-ground vetting. So we're going to have another colleague of Marcus and Dr. Tillman is going to come down and do on-the-ground vetting. So all the folks that made it through the first round of that process, they're still the same people, but they're going to actually go in the community with them, see if they have rapport in that community, see if they go into that community, they're going to listen to the language. Is somebody calling him Unc? Do he owe somebody money and people are mad at him? That's the type of stuff they're going to be looking for. They're going to generate a report, and then I'm going to attach that report to what we already know from the other things that we've done, right? And then I'm going to look at that report, and I'm going to say, this is not going to work, or yes, this is going to be great, based on what we know. We can't really know. It's just like you hire somebody for a job anywhere. You don't know. They might interview well, but they might not be right once that job starts, right? So we're going to do our due diligence, and that on-the-ground vetting is what is going to really give me peace about who we select to be in those communities, because that's really vital for the success of the program.
And one more thing to follow up with that. When are we going to get back in contact and engage those people? Because some of those people who went through that vetting process, they've been calling because they was told they was going to have a start date. So we have people out here that believe they have a job and they don't even know. So how are we getting in contact with them to let them know? Because I know that a few that went through the vetting process actually.
They went through a partial vetting process.
Partial vetting process. Actually, because it was saying they was going to be hired, and they wasn't, and they went to contracted, and they actually went and got jobs now because they thought that they had something that was going on. So how soon are we getting with them, or do we know a start date so that we can engage and let them know? Because not having somebody that's been vetted with understanding his work. A lot of the people that's getting contracted for this work are high risk. So we're getting them in a situation that's getting them in the mindset of saying, I've been trained, I'm in a position where I'm getting ready to be able to be influential and create impact and be able to sustain and take care of my family or do whatever I can. But then it's a pause on me with nothing to speak about. These people that's at high risk, that's at the most crucial point inside their life where they believe they have something. And if we aren't continually engaging with them as a same way, because they're a participant until they get hired, because these people are some of your most at-risk, highest at-risk people, and they believe they have an opportunity. So when do we get to them to have the conversation of when? Because when we onboarding people or we contracting people, we tell them when is the contract going to start so that they can move forward. And when they don't know,
I can't.
It's not fair.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. Some people have reached out, and I have followed up with them. I had an email from somebody today, and I'm in the process of drafting a message. I'll probably give them a call too. But I can't rush a process. This is too vital for me to say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and see what we can get this stuff procured so they can have a contract. I have to do my due diligence alongside city process and alongside the folks who are nationally known to be able to make this stuff flow. So I have to wait until these people are contracted to be able to start that vetting process. So as far as when you were talking about, are these the people we're going to have? If I lost some people along the way because this took too long, then inside of this proposal is some wiggle room for them to be able to do another round of interviews and vetting, because I did have that conversation with them that we were going to be pretty much down some of the folks that we had originally wanted to contract for this role. Now, in that, right, this is me being transparent, in that there's some people who have popped up, I guess, out of the ashes, who are just really doing a lot of amazing things in some of our communities. I won't name them, but you know the people who I'm speaking of, right? And they weren't not in that additional contractors pool, right? So we have to. I think things are going to work out how they should. For the folks who was like, hey, I just got to go get another job, that's amazing. Like, I'm happy they were able to do that. We will circle back with them. If they want to continue with the vetting process, we will make sure they're able to be a part of that. Because I'm not going to penalize someone for having to go get, something to take care of their family or take care of themselves. But thank you for bringing that up. For the most part, we have, like, between me and my intern, we have had follow-up. There's a couple people who kind of fell off the radar. And truth be told, if they don't fall on my radar, I know that they're good, and I think you know what I mean when I say that. So I'm just assuming that they moved on with other opportunities.
So it's tentatively November that they'll be here.
No, that is tentative. Oh, you talking about the consultants?
The consultants to start to bill out the program.
Yes.
Okay.
Tentative November. If they are here at the beginning of November, the goal, as we have talked about it, is to have the vetting process start in November so that we can have a good chance to get this program actually starting to get wheels at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
How long would that vetting process take?
The vetting process, it depends. So if someone goes into, I'll give you an example. So if Redmond goes into the neighborhood with you to see how you interact with people, he may be able to be there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, walk around with you and know, like, okay. And it may take a little bit less. He may see you interact with somebody that's high risk that he knows is what we call in CVI, like, this person's a shooter, and you were able to mediate something with them. If a situation happens while you're there and you're able to actually mediate it, it might not be no need for him to stick around for another hour because he already knows you have rapport in that community. So it all depends on what happens. It depends on how people are interacting with you. If somebody comes up to you and says, I've heard stories about people getting vetted where they would go into the neighborhood with somebody and somebody would, like, start cussing them out. This person might not be the person who you want to be wearing the logo of your organization when they're on front line, because it could put other people in danger. They could be in danger. You can't. You just got to leave that alone, right? So it is definitely, it depends. Now, what I'm looking for my report, based on conversations I've had, is I want you to be in that community with them at least 2 hours to be able to walk around and see what's going on so that you have something to report back. But it's not like a multiple day type of process in most cases.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Matthews, and thank you, Mr. Redmond, for bringing that up. That was a good point. Ms. Essems?
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
And I do want to point out, this conversation was about the technical assistance being provided by Dr. Tillman and Marcus. It kind of shifted over to the VI program.
So you don't want me to ask my question? Is that what that comment was about?
Yeah, so I came to present specifically about the proposal timeline, and it shifted over to the VI.
Okay.
Yeah, you're all right. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay.
But if you have specific questions, he asked his, so I guess it's fair. You have one that's really good?
Well, I don't know. I think it's good because I want to know, how do you quantify a 2-hour observation into a person that is appropriate for the job?
So I will say I'm not the expert. I'm not the person who's coming down as an expert to do that vetting. So I don't have a response for that. But I'm just talking about this in CVI. That's kind of like the standard. So I'll give you another example. Some cities don't do on-the-ground vetting when they are looking to contract/hire their VIs. A lot of cities, right, will actually put their VIs through a hiring process because they actually work for the city. Because of how we're doing ours, it's a contract. It's just a different type of setup. So the cities that we know of that have done vetting, their model looks a little bit more like our model. So that was my way of, putting the best practice into how we are contracting. One, I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about how this went. Two, if anything, any little thing goes wrong, it's going to come back on us. It doesn't matter that they're contractors. It's perception, right? So the vetting process gave us an opportunity to back up what we saw in the interview without me having to go into the neighborhood. Because the people who are coming down to vet, they're going to have some relational ability with the communities that we're serving. We hope, right? We hope. So we'll talk. Okay. But the person who's coming down to do it is familiar with, he's based out of DC, but he's familiar with our neighborhoods. Okay. Do you know? Yeah.
So,
yeah, okay.
Just because so part of it, actually, I'm speaking from a person who actually does these type of things. So part of that is they do the interview. So we do an interview asking you, how do you engage in your community, which is you'll say the area it in. We have those conversations. We also do a background check, but we do what's considered a community background check, which is referring with people there. Most of the time when they come in, they work with somebody who is directly in that city that has been trained, been certified to work directly with them alongside of that vetting process, and then they like to go in because they stamp their name. They go in and see how you engage the community. They're actually going to walk you through a community and just let you do what you do. Is like oversight and singing, but they also do an extensive background, which government does background checks a certain way and community does background checks. So it's a community background check that they do with people inside the community with a small committee of people from that community that can actually vouch for that person in the community. That's why some training and coaching before actually directly deploying them inside there.
So I do want to, let me back up. We will have people who are credible in those neighborhoods with the folks that are coming down. Does that make sense? So it's not just they're coming down and just walking into the neighborhood. There's going to be people who are credible in that neighborhood with them. Now, those people who are credible in that neighborhood may not be people that we're necessarily looking to contract with, but they're people who we know if something happened in that neighborhood, they would know what was going on, and they might have a voice to be able to stop something before it escalates. Does that make sense? As far as the reporting part, what Daryl just shared is accurate. So that community background check that he is mentioning is the vetting. We're just calling it two different things.
And they actually, yes.
So yeah, so yeah,
because usually
we're bringing in the outside person for the reporting.
So go ahead.
I'm sorry. So I'll look at it like this. So here's a good example. Redmond and Jalen, I'm just gonna call y'all regular names because it's an example, right? They are friends, and Jalen is being vetted. I'm from Portsmouth, so I have an idea they're probably friends. A report from Redmond is not gonna help me make a decision. But if I have somebody that's sitting back watching stuff, their report is going to be a little bit less biased, and it's going to help me make a decision. So that's why we're bringing in an outside party to do that, because Portsmouth is so small, everybody just know everybody. I don't need a report from somebody who is your cousin. I'm just going to say it. I need a report from somebody who is an expert in the field, who's done this work successfully, and they're able to tell me if a high-risk situation arises, this person is going to be able to swim and not sink.
Thank you, Ms. Hessams. And I just want to say before you speak, Mr. Carter, I do think these were important questions since we were talking about bringing in a consultant. So it might not have been a specific thing, but it definitely was germane to what we were talking about. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yes, and one more thing, usually, and I don't know, Portsmouth just hasn't done it. Usually when they come in and they usually pair with somebody that they do in their city and they consult with them on it. So it's actually a two-part. So when they usually come in, they'll find somebody that's in the community, which is somebody like me that they'll probably have a conversation with, and we'll work with them with doing some consulting on the hiring process. That's just how it's usually done, so we're just trying to see.
Thank you. Mr. Carter.
Two things for me. First, about the conversation we're having. This whole thing that we're doing is more of an art than a science. You get people in that are experienced at what they do, and you rely on their experience to help guide you through some of the things that you're going to face. So it's a gut feel for some of this, and some's going to be right, some's going to be wrong. We're going to bring people on that we're going to have to get rid of, and we're going to miss people that we should have brought on. And through the life cycle of this process, we'll get it right at some point. But again, this is more of an art than a science of trying to make this work for our community. So we're going to try some things based on the experience of the consultants that we hire, and hopefully, and I normally don't use the word hopefully because my interpretation is hope is not a plan. But this one is truly a hope that we're doing the right thing for our community. The other piece of this is on the contracting piece. While Ms. Matthews is working on the particulars for this particular engagement, I'm working on what's called a master services agreement. What the master services agreement will allow us to do is once we sign the master services agreement with those consultants, then we can stand up the different pieces like a task order and not have to go through this whole process again. So we built a contract to have specific pieces just like the one that she's working on, so that when hers is done, they've worked out all the details. We don't have to go through a procurement process. We just have to get our lawyers to agree on the wording that's in the documents, and they can press on. And if she wants to engage them in something else, she can come up with, as long as she got a decent scope of work that has a set of deliverables so that we can hold them accountable for what we're paying them for, then she's able to move forward without going through this whole process again. So that will speed up subsequently, but the first time we got to get it all set in place, okay?
I appreciate that clarification, Mr. Carter, because that was going to be my next question, because you mentioned there's two parts, it's the VI part and the commission part, and I was going to ask will it be another process to get them to come and work with the commission, but you answered that question. I appreciate that, Mr. Carter. Okay. Were there any other comments or questions on the topic of the consultant?
I have some questions, but I will hold off and ask them at a later time.
Definitely want to make sure we get all of our questions answered, and I'm sure I'll have questions that I'll send over to Ms. Matthews after today. But seeing no other questions right now, thank you, Mr. Carter, and thank you, Ms. Matthews. I believe that was the last thing on the agenda. Were there any announcements, Ms. Matthews? All right, no announcements. The next meeting is November 3rd, 2025. And are there any other comments or questions about anything?
My comment is, I'm thankful that we're working through this process, getting it done. One thing that I would ask is, as we say, as a commission, a lot of times the community is asking questions. So whenever we have something or what's going on, that's why I ask the conversations, because I tell them go back and look at the video with some of this stuff that I know, but the community asks. And being engaged in the community, asking what's going on is our job as a commission to let the community know what's going on. And some of the questions are the questions I know, but it's a question that the community asks me. And that's why I'm thankful of a timeline. That's why we're asking timeline, because our community was asking timelines of when are things going to be done inside the community. So just thankful for to have some clear direction of what to tell them, that we're looking to VI in November and on board and Crime Commission in January, just to get them some updates, because as we do with everything else in the city, how do we update our community about how we're trying to ensure public safety? So I thank you all for that.
I appreciate that, Mr. Redman. 100% agree. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Have a good evening, everyone.